Hey there, welcome back to my channel. So today in this tutorial, we are going to work on our notification service. So right before work on the notification service, let's try to understand why exactly this notification service is needed right here. So you can see in our user service and the transaction service, both this service has the capability of sending notifications, a form of maybe email, maybe SMS, etc. But while we are integrating that piece of code for sending the email or SMS, that is the same thing we need to replicate in our transaction service as well as, right? Which is a kind of redundant work, right? You can imagine a scenario in terms of the existing service provider for sending email, you are not happy with that and you just try to change, or maybe your project manager has decided to do that, like change this specific provider to something else. Then you need to work on the body service, right? So, which is a kind of technically, it's a tech debt, right? You should have to change in one place, then it should have to work as it is, right? Without touching the business logic. So to get rid of this kind of tech debt or chaos, we can just move or we can shift that specific feature to a tiny dedicated service, which is going to tackle especially only for the notifications related features. As an example, if you try to send the email, then user service will send some kind of the SNS event or SQS event, like, hey, this is the email, please send to user, or this is the SMS, send to the user. Transaction service also do the same thing. That means while you try to change your existing service provider to something else, then you just go to the notification service and change that specific integration, then it's going to be work as it is. So that is the puzzle we just try to solve right here. Okay. So for notification service, we are going to use Twilio for sending our SMS, and we are going to use the SendGrid for sending our emails, right? Which is potentially very easy. Like you don't need to deal with the custom in terms of the templates. You need to build your own. It has a lot of flexibility and features where you can go ahead and do a little bit CSS styling and all, which is visually very interactive. But I'm going to show you how exactly we can do the same thing with the help of SES as well as, right? All right, so let's dive into the code. Here, I'm going to close this one. Right, so this is our source code. Let's try to create a directory here inside this root directory. Right. I am going to switch to this specific directory. Now cdk init add TypeScript. All right, so we need a couple of things right here. Let's go ahead and try to install that. Okay, so this is our package.json. So I'm gonna drop this package log.json because I'm gonna use yarn. And here, dependencies, we have all these TypeScript dependencies. That's perfectly fine. So let's try to add a couple of more dependencies in order to work on this specific service, right? So first of all, I'm gonna add the yarn add Twilio, right? Then I'm gonna add yarn add AWS SDK and AWS Lambda as well as, right? This AWS Lambda typed version also going to be needed, and yarn Lambda. And a couple of more things going to be needed. That is going to be like yarn add a class transformer and class validator. And the last library going to be needed, that is called SendGrid. SendGrid mail. We have added all the dependencies. Now we will go inside this lib directory, inside the notification service, right? So here inside the lib directory, go to the notification service tag. Here we will add a couple of codes. Let's try to delete all these things. So first thing, we need to create a kind of queue, one queue for email queue, and another queue for our OTP queue, which is going to be SMS queue, all right? Then we are going to add a topic, right? That's going to be topic, which is going to be listened by that specific queues, right? Where we will be publishing that things in terms of like maybe something like this, customer customer email or customer OTP. So why I'm just keeping customer right here, the customer email, customer OTP. Maybe in future, if you wish to add something else for admin level in terms of for seller only, which is going to be published from an admin, then you can just maintain that specific prefix like seller email, seller OTP, something like that. Okay. And then we are going to add a couple of handlers that is going to be like email handler and OTP handler, which is going to send the email and OTP from this specific service. And finally, we are going to add the subscription. Right, so this is the thing we are going to do. Here, finally, we are going to add this subscription. So once we have deployed this notification service, then our product service and transaction service is going to be consumed that topic where body service will be published some kind of event which is called the customer email or customer OTP, something like that, right? That is the thing we are going to do. So I'm going to create a couple of files here. First of all, let's try to create one file that is called service tag. So here in this service tag, we are going to add similar kind of codes, which is we did for our transaction service. So let's go to transaction service here and go to transaction service tag. This is the stack, all right, inside the lib directory. And let's grab all the code from here. Okay. Close this one, go to service tag, add it here. Okay. So far all good. One thing we need to do that is called this read only, right? There are two functions we are going to keep it only. One is called email, or you can keep it just like SMS handler, right? So these are the two Node.js functions are needed. So this is good. Right now we have these two specific handlers, which is going to handle the email and OTP, right? Here, let's try to remove these bottom two functions here. And this is going to be our email handler, and this is going to be our OTP handler. And here, let's try to put some kind of meaningful name. But right before putting this meaningful name, we need to create a kind of directory here inside this notification service, right? Close the lib and select this root directory. Add a directory here that is called source src. Inside the src, we are going to create a couple of directories, right? So let's try to create a couple of directories from here. That's the src, right? And here, dir, we're going to create all these directories that is called dtos and handlers, providers, utility, right? So now all these directories are created here. Inside the handlers, we are going to create one index file that is called index.tx. Yeah, index.ts. And this index.ts file will be our entry point of our handlers, right? Let's try to create a couple of more files. And here, inside the email handler.ts, let's try to export something. Initially, we are adding one handler function that is called customer email handler, right? Then let's go ahead to index file. Let's try to copy these things from here and export here. Export star from our email handler. Right? Let's try to create one more that is called OTP handler. Yes. Right, similar thing we are going to add here, and instead of this email, we are going to put OTP, right? One-time password. And now let's try to export here. Start from OTP handler. Cool. Now inside the handlers, everything is all right. Here, now we can fairly go ahead inside the lib directory, right? Again to the service tag, we can add these functions names right here, right? So instead of this thing, we are going to add just like customer, email, handler, and customer, OTP. Right. So this is the name exactly belongs to this handler's name, right? This function, because while it'll just pointing to our handlers, right? Here you can see we are creating our handlers, and handlers refer to that handlers.index.ts file. While exporting all these modules, then it can be that specific Lambda function can be find it by its name, right? By this way. Perfect. So I think we are good here. Now this is correct, right? Let's try to save this file. And let's go to notification service tag here. So here we are going to add all these things, whatever we have added right here. So here we will be going to add all these things one by one. So I'm going to close rest of all the other files. So here inside the notification service tag, let's try to create our email queue. And here all right, so here we have created one SQS queue that is called email queue, right? And we just kept a name of email queue, and this is our visibility timeout, right? So visibility timeout is like it's a timeout of the processing single message, right? So how much time we can keep, that is we can just assign right here. Okay, and let's try to create our OTP queue as well as. So this is the same thing we're going to add. Instead of this one, this is going to be our OTP queue. OTP queue, and the name of the queue will be like on the instead of email, this is going to be OTP, right? The visibility timeout also is going to be same, and that is perfect. Now let's go ahead and create our topic, right? So here we are going to create our SNS topic. So if you're not aware what exactly difference between the queue and SNS topic, you can just go ahead and watch that specific episodes below in the description. So where I have already explained like how the SQS and SNS is working. Let's try to create our topic quickly. We have created our topic here, right? Then this topic exactly need to be subscribed by this bot of the queue. While anything is coming as a form of topic, right? Then email queue going to take care of that specific event, right? And while something is coming for the OTP, then OTP also going to, that specific queue is going to take care of sending or processing that events further, right? To do that, we can add a couple of codes right here, but it will going to be redundant because twice we need to do this same thing, right? So what we can do, maybe we can move that specific code to somewhere else. Let's try to add a kind of function here. So right after created this topic, we have subscribed to that topic as well as by that specific queue, right? So how we have added this one? Add subscription is taking the first parameter as a topic. Second parameter is the targeted queue, which is going to be subscribed for that specific topic. And third parameter is going to be like what kind of events we are going to listen. So here you can see that that email queue is going to listen to that action type filter. If it is anything is coming action type as a kind of customer email, then this email queue will going to take care of sending or maybe processing that specific event, right? And when it is coming as a kind of customer OTP, then OTP queue is going to be take care of that specific event. So that means if customer OTP events is coming from SNS topic, then email queue, it will do nothing. It is only just going to take an action by specific allow list of the filters only. So which is we have already added here in the filter policy, right? So topic add subscription as a kind of SNS subscription queue, and raw message delivery, like the whatever the raw data we just to try to receive it. We don't want any kind of encoding right there. It will going to deliver the raw message. That is we are saying like true. And filter policy, that is what we said, like if anything, any kind of action type it is coming just like, customer email, then, or maybe customer OTP, then only these two queue is going to be take an action accordingly. Okay, but one thing just keep in mind, this subscription filter, it is coming from our SNS, all right? So by default, maybe it will come from SNS subscription as well as, or maybe SQS as well as, but make sure like you are importing these things from here, right? From here. Now let's hook up our handlers. So which is going to take care of sourcing our events from our SQS queues, right? So let's try to do that. So first of all, here we need to create one stack that is called const new service stack, right? And this here, this and this will be our notification. And so what is here? Good. So let's subscribe to users. Now let's add users for that handler, right? So email handler is going to add users, new SQS users, and sourcing our email. Right, and so we're going to do our handler add users, new users, and here we put in. One last thing is needed. That is going to be, we need to export that specific topic errand, because our user service and the transaction service, both the service exactly need to send the notifications to this specific topic, right? So if you're not exposing, or if you're not exporting that output, then how we can send it? That errand we need to export somehow, right? Let's try to export it. We have added this output right here, okay, which is a kind of like CFN output, which is going to export our topic ARN by the export name that is called a notify SBC ARN, right? If we are going to deploy this one, then certainly we can see this output right there, okay? So we have added all the required codes and the settings from our infrastructure side. So now let's try to deploy the whole stack, so at least we can verify whether we are perfectly able to export that specific topic ARN or not, right? So because we need to use that in other services. So right now I am in the root directory of this specific service, notification service, right? Then I'm gonna type cdk synth. So here in the service tag, we can see like the reflect metadata is here, but we have not been installed. Let's try to install that one, right? Because anyway, it's going to be needed for our class transformer, where we are going to utilize here inside the handlers. So yarn add reflect metadata. Good. So now cdk synth. Now since it's going through correctly, yeah, perfect. So it is giving us the precise perfect. So now it is giving us the correct answer, right? So this is our whole cloud permission template. Now let's go ahead and try to deploy the cdk deploy purpose trace. All right, so our stack is pale. Why exactly it is pale? Because it seems like we have kind of visibility timeout is less than our function timeout, right? So let's go ahead to the functions side. Here we can see our, in the stack, notification service stack, we are keeping the timeout is 120 seconds. And service tag, we can see, yeah, it is 180 seconds. So let's make it 120 seconds and try it again. So now deleting is in progress. So let's wait for cleaning up whole thing, rolling back. Perfect. So now we can try again, just like deploy purpose trace. Perfect. So now we can see our stack has been successfully deployed, right? Let's go ahead to the console and we can check it out, like how exactly it's look like right now. Right. So let's go ahead to the console. Here we can see like right now, it seems, yeah, it's created successfully. Let's click on here in the stack name and you can see in the output, right? Here, this is the key exactly. And this is the export name, right? And this is our topic ARN, right? You can maybe add some kind of description as well as that, but that is not necessary. So where exactly this ARN is coming from? If you go to SNS, right? SNS topic, then you can see there is one topic is there, right? Click on here and this is our topic. And if you click on here, this ID, right? And this is the topic policy where it's called like action type is the customer OTP, which is going to be subscribed by our Lambda function, right? And the another one is just like if you click right here, then you can see this is by customer email, right? So these are the subscription policy. That's perfectly fine. So now we can go ahead and look into like how the thing's going to be work. And if you see in the Lambda as well as, go to Lambda. And these are the two Lambda functions we have right now. One is the customer, the email one, right? This is the service tag customer notifications for, and if you go to configuration, then you can see it's fine. Here in triggers, right? So it is, while it is going to be called from this specific queue, then this Lambda function is going to handle it, right? So this is the one Lambda function, and another one is like this one. Go to configuration and you can find it out. This one is email queue, right? The other one is like, it is for our OTP queue. Good, great. So now we have our stack and we have our output. Then we can fairly access this specific topic in our other services. Now let's go ahead and add some code to make it possible, because in our handler stuff, we have not added anything, right? Let's try to add quickly some code right there, so at least we can accomplish whatever we are looking for. So let's go to DTO, and I'm gonna create a couple of files right here, right? And so first one is like email DTO. And second one will be our OTP. In the email DTO, a couple of things we need to do, that is called export class. Perfect. So the similar thing we are going to do for our OTP as well as. Let's go here. You might have thinking why we are keeping phone as a string and code as a string, because while we are sending our notifications or some events from our SQS, right, with the help of SNS, at that time we are stringify our request, right? So which is we need to validate accordingly, and we can later stage we can just convert it to a number or whatever the data type. So that's why initially we need to keep it as a string right here. Okay, great. So our DTO is ready. Now let's go to our providers. So here we are going to create a couple of more files. This is going to be like one of email provider.ts, and another one is our OTP.ts, or maybe we can say SMS also. TS, right? So let's accomplish the SMS part first, right? So right before adding some code right here, let's go to utility directory. And here just to try to add one file that is called error. So errors.ts. This errors.ts, we can borrow some code from our one of these service. That is, maybe we can go to our user service, go to app, and go to utility and go to errors, right? Let's grab whole piece of code from here. And right, so now it seems like we have kind of validation error, and this validate method exactly it's needed. So where we can get it? So let's try to import these things from here, from the class validator, and this validate as well as. Great. So our errors are ready from the utility. So let's go ahead in the SMS file inside the providers, and we're going to add some code right here. Here in the sms.ts file, we are not going deeper because already we have explained how we can integrate the SMS feature to our application in the episode 5. So if you wish to know more, just go ahead and watch this episode 5. So I'm going to do this whole thing very quickly. I will be going to user service and going to utility, and here in the notification section, I'm going to copy a whole bunch of code from here and going to add these things right here, right? Great. So this is the piece of code which is going to help us to send our SMS, and it seems like it is complaining, Twilio is complaining, and this specific flag is not exactly enabled in our tsconfig file. Let's go ahead. Here inside, yeah, right after this one maybe. Module interrupt will be true. Okay, now it seems it's gone. Great, so it is gone. Account SID, and this is my auth token. How we can obtain it, I have already explained in the episode 5, right? So this is the thing exactly, it's not required because we are not generating a new code here. This service will take the request from our other service, right? And just send it to user. So in that case, the code and phone number, this is correct. Now perfectly fine. Let's go ahead here in the OTP handler. In the OTP handler, we are going to add some code quickly. Then I'm going to explain what exactly I did right here. Let's try to understand what we did here in the customer OTP handler. This is a very simple array of the response. So while we are iterating through all the records, if any kind of records are getting failed or it's failed to send in notifications or it has some kind of error, then we are pushing that specific record to here in the response. So at least we can keep track like which record has been failed, right? And finally, we are logging it here as well as and returning as well as. And that is not necessary to return it, but still we can just keep it like this way. And now the another thing we did, as soon as we are iterating through records, right? You can see this is a kind of record, and record we are just parsing to our input, that is OTP input, where we are expecting at least the phone number or some kind of the code as well as, right? That is we are getting it here, and we are validating here. If there is a kind of error, at least we can just push it to here, or if there is no any kind of error, then we are deconstructing like the phone number and the code, and we are sending the verification code from here, right? So while we are performing this action, you can see this is a kind of promise we are creating, and we are settling our promise right here by calling our promise all, right? So once this all promise is resolved, then we are just printing this line right here. So in terms of like while it is receiving any kind of event, and it is processing the whole thing and sending the notifications to customer, and it is finishing up right here. Let's go ahead and add some code here in customer email handler as well as. So here inside the provider, already we have created one file for email, right? Here in the email.ts file, we're going to add all the email provider codes. For sending email, we are going to use SendGrid. Okay. So if you don't have a SendGrid account, go ahead and sign up for SendGrid, where you need to validate your credential, your identity, then you will be landed up with this dashboard, right? So first of all, one thing is needed, that is called our SendGrid API key. So first let's try to import SendGrid mail, which is already we have installed on the time of initialization of this project. And right now, let's try to create our SendGrid key. This key you can get our SendGrid, right? So this SendGrid key, we can get it from our dashboard. To get the API key, click on here in the settings section and click on the API key. Create a new API key here. Create API key. Give a name of the API key and allow the required permissions from here, right? Then when you click on the create and view, then you will get the options to see the API key from here. Okay. That API key will be potentially started with like SZ dot something like this. Let's try to add some code quickly right here. Then I'm going to explain, and we'll be jump out here in SendGrid dashboard as well as to create the templates. Then export the interface. and you're from the data. Great. So let's try to understand this email.ts file. So this is our SendGrid API key, which is already we have taken from our dashboard. While we are sending our emails, at the time, the prom email address, exactly, it should have to be mentioned from there, right? That prom email address, we can find it out from our SendGrid dashboard, right? That is we need to do. Then this is our template ID. That is, I've just added right here as a template order confirmation, something like that. So maybe you can create as much as templates, whatever you are just to try to send your emails accordingly. We'll be get back shortly this template exactly how it is look like. Okay. Then this is our SendGrid. We are setting our API key, right? This API key we are setting it here. Here it is the initialization. This is the interface we are going to use for our create the template or create the specific email, right? Then first of all, this is the to email ID. This is from email ID, right? And this is the template ID, right? Where we will be passed the template ID, and this is the dynamic template data. So while we are sending the emails, we will simply pass some kind of the raw data. That means like maybe email, first name, order, etc. We will be sending from our application to SendGrid, and SendGrid will be having some kind of static data right there. It's like, hey, Mr. Something, and this is here is your order. Any kind of contents, all the contents we are not pushing from our server, right? From our application. It'll be stay right there. Only the placeholder will be there where this template data, it's a kind of a bunch of placeholder. You can see here, while we are just creating our order confirmation email, then we are accepting email, like whom exactly we are sending to, and this is the first name and this is the order number. So technically you can say, while we are sending it from our application, we are simply passing the email, and inside the dynamic template data, the placeholders, we are sending the name is the first name, order number is a kind of order number, and this is the template ID. So that means while we are sending the email, then SendGrid will capture all these things from our dynamic template data, and it will parse it and it will place it where the placeholders are exist, right, by name and order, and it will send it to the user. So let's try to understand this whole thing in SendGrid right now. In the email API, click on the dynamic template where you can create your template, right? So here are a couple of emails templates I do have right now. Then you can say like, this is the thank you email, right? As an example, and you can click on the add a version, right? Add a version, then you can choose anything from here, your template. Maybe I can select the blank template, then go, there are two options are available. Either you can go with the designer editor or maybe the code editor, right? So if you click on the code editor and select this one as an example, if you wish to edit the whole thing in code, click here, then you will get an options like, yeah, this is the thing. This is the HTML stuff and all, and maybe you can put it right here inside the body, right? Maybe you can put some kind of each one as an example, all right? And here, hello. And this hello, can you see this is displaying right here? And the data, it will come from your dynamic template. It's a kind of handlebar data. That is, you can say like name, right? That name will come from here in the test data. You can put some test data just like as an object. It's like name. Name will be Jay. Can you see? This is we are adding this template data placeholder right here, which is we are going to pass it from here in our source code. This name and order number that is going to display right here. Then I'm gonna say like order number. Order number, all this as an example product 1 to 3, right? Now it is not being added here in the source code. So go to the code and you can say hello, hello, Mr. This one, you can put a space here and put up in the right flag. Your order, we have this is your order. Thank you for this is 00 order number for future reference. Right, so that is going like this. Right, order. Can you see? This is exactly it's happening right here. So this is our order number, which is we have passed from here, right? So if you are going to send this email, then this template will look like this. So I'm not a kind of like a good designer at all. So maybe you can go ahead and try to do some kind of fancy stuff right here, because SendGrid is giving a lot of flexibility, right? So that's why it's my favorite tool, and a lot of companies they're using, like rather than going through kind of raw email from the AWS, like going creating their own templates and uploading into the S3 bucket and hooking up. So this is the easiest and the quickest way for getting the job done. So you can just go ahead and do like this, right? And let's try to save this template, right? Save this. So this is this is a new version, all right? This is another one which is I have just created to test it out. So if you wish to go with the designer one, the HTML one, then you can see something like this, right? So if you can build something, like click on here, then you can drag and drop. Like as an example, you wanna put a kind of button here. All right, so yeah, you need to put it in the specific place only. You can put it, right? This is the button exactly. Maybe you can put some kind of text right here, and spacer, social, code, column, and everything. Image also you can put it some image. You can put it here, and so this is the way exactly the whole design thing is working, right? I'm gonna cancel this one. Okay. So now we're going to use this specific template. So what we are going to do, like mark as active. You may have a kind of multiple template as well as, right? Because both the templates are sharing the common template ID. So this is the template ID, which is we are going to copy from here, copy, right? And go to the source code. Here we have already the variable that is called the template order confirmation, just to paste it here. This is our template ID. And now we can go ahead and send the template. So this is how exactly the email template, this dynamic template is working here in SendGrid. Okay. Now let's try to do that, integrate this one with our handler. So I think everything is cool here. So let's go to the handler, email handler. I will add some code quickly and I will make you understand once the whole code is done. Perfect. So now you can see this whole email handler also, this is pretty much same just like the OTP handler. So you can grab a whole piece of code from here as well as and add it to right here and make some necessary changes in terms of like this input will be go as the email input, where we are just parsing the session body, and inside here if there is no error found, right, at that time we are just deconstructing all these necessary parameters from our input. And this is the thing exactly where we are just creating our template, right? This is order template. Maybe in future you used to try to some kind of like maybe welcome template, maybe new user template, or anything you can just create just like this, right? You create a kind of function and create a certain template and add all this necessary data to the dynamic template here, right? And then finally it will return just kind of email template, this generic template, and which is going to send your email. Right. So this is how exactly the whole thing is working. So I think this is perfect right now. We have our email handler as well as, and we have our OTP handler as well as. Let's give it a try to send all these things from our AWS console. And if it is going to work, then finally we are going to integrate how SES also it's going to be send the email by changing the provider from here, right? Rather than SendGrid, maybe we can use some other provider also. That is how we can do. I will show you. Let's try to deploy our application quickly, then we can just test it out, right? All right, so let's give it a try from our AWS account, right? So here I am in the CloudWatch, right? in the log groups because we need to check the if any kind of errors are occurred, so at least we can check it out. So I'm gonna remove all these old logs, right? Delete this one. Okay, cool. Now go to SNS, right here. So here in the SNS topic, I am going to send a kind of message here. So this is our SNS topic, and publish a message. Here simply just to try to put our phone number. All right, so this is my phone number, and here I'm gonna put code, and code as an example 1 2 3 4 5 6, and attribute type as a string, and attribute name will be like XM type, and this is going to be like customer OTP. Okay, so I'm gonna send this message from here. Since it's successfully sent, right? So as soon as I send the message, I can see here in my mobile also there is a kind of notification I have received, right? This message says your verification code is 1 2 3 4 5 6. So if I refresh this one here, maybe we can see some logs here. Yes, so this is the log exactly. It's saying like send from your to your trial account. Yeah, this is cool. So now you can see this is how we are sending the SMS with the help of the notification service. In the next feature, we need to test it out, the sending email, right? So that is we are going to test it quickly. Now let's try to test our send email feature as well as. So again, we are going to select this SNS topic and click on the publish message, right? So here I'm going to put some kind of body that is going to be something like this, right? 2 will be our email address, which email ID we are just sending to that specific email, and this is my name, and this is the order number, right? Test 3D1. So now here I have already opened my tab, right? And the attribute type will be just like string, and name will be XM type, and the value will be customer email, which is we have picked up from here. You can see this one, right? Yeah, you can see the XM type is customer email. So now just to try to send the message, right? Message sent successfully, and if it is successfully done, then we should have to see some kind of the response here as well as. Now you can see here we have under log that is called this one, right? And if you go here, this is the latest one, right? And you can see errors are false, right? So this is calling from email handler. And here you can see we have received one email as well as. If you click this one, you can see this is hello Mr. Zai, we have received your order. Thank you for business with us. So here's your order number, something like this. So this is exactly, it's coming from our SendGrid template, right? So this is how exactly the whole thing is going to be worked. Now let's try to change our provider. So we are going to change our provider from our email. Inside the providers, go to email, and here we are going to comment it out all this SendGrid stuff from here. Okay, so let's try to cut it out from here, right? And here we are going to put it inside comment. Perfect. So now, as an example, we have changed our provider. We are not going to use SendGrid anymore. Okay, in that case, how we can accommodate? As an example, we are going to change our provider. We are not going to use our SendGrid provider for sending emails, right? So in that case, to implement the SES, right, simple email service, we need to import our AWS SDK, right, which is we have already installed. And this is the parameters exactly it's going to be needed. Destination, here we are sending our to address. That is not necessary, but you can just put it, or if you don't have any kind of email ID or any kind of CC to do, you can just skip this part as well as. But for message, exactly the body will be go in the two form. One is the HTML, one is the text, right? Which is exactly, it's done by SendGrid for us without doing all these things. We are just simply passing the data. But in SES also you can do this similar way where all the template stuff and everything you need to do it manually from your side. Okay, maybe with the help of handlebar or some raw HTML, or maybe design some HTML templates, and you can put inside this source directory, inside maybe create a template directory, and inside that one you can put it. But it's up to you like how you can implement all these things here inside SES. Okay, but for required credential from parameter array message, we are sending body as a HTML template, and text also we are just sending this message, which is we have accepted from here. Okay, and subject we can pass whatever subject you just to try to send it to your email. So source we need to mention one kind of email ID. That is you can utilize to send the email just the way we did for our previous one, just like here, support @ or something like support @ codejs.com or something like that, right? And reply to address, this is customer try to write you back, then maybe you can just add it right here, right? Finally, we are creating our SES service here, and we are sending email with the help of the parameter with a promise, right? This is how we are sending whole thing. Cool. Now let's try to call this whole function from here. Go to email handler. This is we are going to we don't want that. Just try to call only send email using SES, right? So instead of this thing, we're going to comment it out and try to put here. Oh wait. Send email using SES. 2 will be our 2 email ID. Message we need to pass it here, just like and this message we are going to send it here. Perfect. So now this use case also we have covered, but we need to make sure like this exact the customer handler function, email handler function, it has the capability of sending SES. For that thing, we need to add some kind of the policy, and that policy statement we can add it right here in the service tag as well as, okay. Or maybe we can go ahead, notification service tag here. This email handler we can add it here, or maybe you can add right before this one as well. Email handler add to policy, add to policy, and check new policy statement, and XML access. SES send email and send raw email. Right, and then we provide resources will be all resources. Then that will be right? So which is giving the capability of sending SES emails, right? This is how we are adding rule policy to our lambda function, right? So let's try to deploy this one. Great. So now our stack is deployed. Let's go to AWS console once again. Go to SES here. Right before sending the email with the help of SES, you need to create one identity, right? Click on the create identity, then it will take you to this page where you can select domain name or you can select email address. If you have any fully qualified domain name, you can just put it ahead here and click on create identity, then it will automatically grab everything, whatever the necessary configurations for sending the email from this domain name, right? Then another way you can do this one by going through email ID, right? Click on the email address, you can put your email address from here, then click on the create identity. Already I have created one by using my another email ID, right? This is the email ID I just put right here. As soon as you are adding this email ID, then they will AWS will send you some kind of the verification code or link. You just click on that verification link just for confirm your email ID, then you are done with that, right? So this is the email ID I have used for creating identity, and it is verified from my email ID as well as, right? So now you can see this. Now you can see this identity status is verified. Now you can see in my SES dashboard here, I'm using my Sandbox account, right? So if you're using Sandbox account just for testing purpose, right, then you can only send the email for verified identity email only, this email only, right? Or maybe you can register some other email also just for testing purpose. As an example, this email I have just used, and I'm going to create one more identity, right? Then email address. This is going to be like 8419, right? Then create the identity. Now you can see here I have received one verification request from AWS, right? If I click right here, Now it is pending maybe. Yeah, now click right here. Then it says like your identity has been verified, right? So now go here, verified identities. You can see both the email ID are verified. Okay, so I can use this email ID as a kind of test email ID, right? While I'm gonna send the email from this email to this one, SNS. I'm gonna open a kind of new tab. Go here, in the topic. I'm gonna publish a kind of message here. Our attribute is a string, name is a kind of XM type, and value will be our customer email, right? Then publish message. Now a message has been sent successfully, and you can see one message I have received in here in inbox. So now you can see here, this is our email exactly, which is we have sent it from our AWS, right? So via amazon.ses.com, and this is our whole content. This is the name which is we have provided from here, and this is our order number, right? Cool. So great. So here inside this tag, you can see this is our export name. So how we can utilize these things in our other services? So if you go to user service here, right? User service, here we have a kind of file that is called serverless.yaml file. So here inside the serverless.yaml file of the user service, because user service need to access that specific things, right? So how we can do that? So let's try to go inside this environment, right? Right after this SNS topic, you can add just notify topic, right? Then we can use some kind of function just like fun and import value will be our ARN name, which is we have just exported from there. So this is the similar kind of stuff just like we did for our transaction service tag, you can see. So now here also this is the similar kind of stuff we did for our transaction service as well as this customer topic. The similar way, just like we have created our topic from our import value from the ARN, right? Topic from ARN, this, and just to put a kind of name, and after that import the value. So as an example here, you can utilize your this name, something like this, right? This one I'm leaving up to you as a homework. You can just go ahead and implement that, right? And here in the serverless YAML file, I'm going to show you how we can do this one. Here we have added this notify topic. So the way we have utilized this SNS topic for the customer topic, we are publishing something, right? The similar way we can just utilize this one as well as. But in this case, we need to add the publishing capability, because as you can see, this publishing capability for our the customer topic only. But in that case, we need to add our this notify service ARN also, right? So how we can do that? So the similar way we can do like fn. So this is how we can now our all the functions, like here whatever functions we are going to use, all the functions are having capability of publishing notifications to our this specific notification topic, right? So this is how it's gonna work. I hope you got a clear understanding how exactly this notification service is going to be work and how we can call these things from the other services as well as. I hope you like this video tutorial. If you like this video tutorial, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed it, because I'm gonna put a lot of useful tutorial throughout this channel. Thank you.